Today we're going to walk through the steps of installing your chain roll on a 2012 and newer 600 John Deere Series corn head. First step we're going to do is we're going to take the trash knives off. There's 4 bolts on each side. We're just going to take them off and set them to the side. Once we have the trash knives off, we're then ready to take the nuts off of the front of the rolls. Make sure when you get your nuts off that you keep the washers. We do send new nuts, but we do not send new washers. Now that we have our nuts off our shafts on our rolls, we're ready to use our 360 puller and pop these old OEM rolls off. Okay, with these rolls popped loose, we're just going to go ahead and take them the rest of the way off. Save our round washer. Set these to the side. With our old rolls off, now is a good time to inspect these shafts. We want to clean them up, clean the threads up, make sure nothing's bent, broken, kind of just inspect them a little bit. Now we're ready to put a little anti-seize on our shafts, on the taper. Now we're ready for our 360 rolls. Remember, everything that we do is from the seat. So left is left from the driver's seat, right is the right. You should have 2 lining marks on your rolls when you get them out of the box. These rolls have been spun and timed already, so you want to keep them in time when you put them on your shafts. So I like to do them both at the same time if you can. Slide them up and on, making sure that they're staying in time as you slide them on. Okay, we want to make sure that our cutting flutes stayed in time. And if they're still intermeshed correctly, we're going to put our washers back on. We're going to put them with the flat face to the outside. The nuts that come with your 360 chain roll, they have a one-time use thread patch on them. So if you go to take these off, change anything, you want to make sure to use a blue thread lock or an equivalent thread locker when you put these back on. Okay, with an 1 3/16 socket, we're going to go ahead and tighten up our flange nuts on our rolls. We're going to first torque these down to 100 foot-pounds. A chunk of 2x4 will help wedge in between the rolls when you tighten them. The other side, just wedge it in the top. Now that we have these nuts torqued to 100 foot-pounds, we're going to go another 60 degrees. So what I like to do is mark the roll and mark the nut on one corner. We're going to wedge our 2x4 back in. Then we're going to rotate that another 60 degrees. So you can see that the mark on the nut has traveled about the one flat. That's what we call 60 degrees. Once you have your 60 degrees on the one side, go ahead and repeat the same process for the other side. Remember, if you take these nuts off, you need to put a thread lock back on them. Okay, once you have both your 60-degree flats done, I like to take your same breaker bar and spin these rolls around manually a turn to make sure that nothing hits and your clearances are all good. Okay, so now we have our chain roll installed and we're ready to put trash knives back on. It's highly recommended to buy 360's specific version of trash knives for chain roll. So they installed this with the same hardware you took off. Just gonna put them up. By hand, spin your rolls so that your teeth or your cutting flute is along the edge of your trash knife. What we want to do is we want to be about 1/4 inch away from that cutting flute. We'll get a couple of them snug. Make sure it stays in place about 1/4 inch. Then go ahead and tighten them all up. And repeat this for the other side. Once your trash knives are tightened and back on, that completes your installation for your 360 chain roll.